Welcome to Paige's Lessons. In Season 5, I break down every single episode, where I've been, what I'm up to, and the lessons learned along the way. Solo, travel, backpacking, digital nomad lifestyle. This is something very new. I've been doing it since July now. We're already into November, like mid-November. I can't believe how fast this is going. And yeah, I'm documenting the lessons that I've learned along the way. Now, you don't have to listen to this podcast and be an active traveler. These lessons are for anyone at any time because it's really important to reflect on your mental health. And I do that as a fucking living. I process, I journal, I read these self-help books, these articles. I get inspired by my own clients. And I collect all this data. And at the end of the day, with all this data, I use it and look at myself and see, am I actually applying the coping skills that I preach? Am I actually believing in myself and going towards what I want? Because I encourage my clients to live their dream life, and I help them get very specific with their values and goals. And that's what I'm doing with my own life. And I'm not perfect by any means. You know, just because I life coach others, I don't have all of my shit together, but it's just really important for me to document this here. And I'm so grateful to have this platform and share this with you so that you have a little page in your pocket and learn from the shit I've been through. So today's episode, we're going to recap Krakow, Poland. I probably am not even saying that country or the city correctly, but Krakow has been really a random trip, to be honest. It was very last minute where I decided that I'm going to go to Poland. Now, I was in Vienna for 3 weeks, and that was very intentional. I wanted to go to Austria. I wanted to stay there for a while and just rest because I was really it was every 5 days, week, even a week and a half, I was just constantly moving. And with my heavy ass backpack, it just wasn't sustainable. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay in Austria for a bit and just fucking catch my breath. And I'm so glad I did. And you can check out that episode. I think it's 2 episodes back. And after Austria, my plan was to continue going east towards America because I already went pretty west and explored the UK and Western Europe. I went pretty far out, but then I went to Prague and Budapest, which was also not on the plan. So I went more east than originally, and then going back west. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep going west then. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm all confused. Keep going west towards America. Duh, not east. And I was going to go to Switzerland. That was on my agenda, was to check out Switzerland. But guess what? The fucking funds aren't doable. And you gotta roll with the punches. And I wasn't about to be fucking bankrupt for just staying a week in Switzerland. I'm not about that. I'd like to stretch my dollar a little bit and make my trip last, make this journey. I promised myself at least 6 months, at least till the end of my visa allows to stay in Europe. And I'm not about to just blow all my money on a very expensive country. So Switzerland, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to visit you another time. Maybe at the beginning of my trip when I have a little bit more funds. And instead of towards the end. So I had to make a decision. Okay, well, which country? Because I still want to go to Amsterdam before I head back to London. That was on the agenda of what I really want to do. So I was thinking, how do I get to Amsterdam or at least make it last? And I was recommended by a friend to check out Poland. I actually got a couple of recommendations to go to Poland, and I didn't really think about it. I was like, okay, so I'll go east and then north then from Vienna, right? I'm just going to go straight up to Krakow, and then there's a couple other cities in Poland as well to check out, and then of course go to Warsaw, the capital. And then from Warsaw, figure it out from there. At least it's easier to fly out if I don't want to like take a train. So I decided to go to Poland, and I received a really good recommendations of restaurants and places to go. And then I did kind of my own YouTube research, and I learned a little bit about the language and learned some just very, very basic, thank you, yes, no, hello, just like very basic Polish words, because I didn't want to be, I definitely want to learn fucking thank you. I learned that in every country. That's very important. It's just to say thank you, because with thank you, even if like, it even covers like sorry or excuse me, just like putting on a smile and saying thank you goes a long fucking way. Anyways, so after learning about it and then kind of putting on my phone, like a list in my phone, okay, check this out. And then booking a Airbnb, it was so easy. It was a lot more affordable than other European countries I've stayed in. So I was like, yeah, let's fucking do this. And getting to Poland was a fucking shit show. So the first lesson I want to give to you is, oh my God, you need to go with the fucking flow. Like, I say that lightly, but also so fucking seriously. I'm not going to get into the entire story because this podcast would be an hour, and I'm not going to do that to you. So, but needless to say, I missed my train. I had to take another train. That train ended up not going to my final destination. I had to take 3 separate trains. I had to go to different countries just to get to my final destination in Krakow. It took like 12 hours, and there was technical issues. There was lack of communication. There was a lot going on that day, and it was literally a snowball effect where every single thing went wrong. Like, and I was trying so fucking hard to be positive. I was like, it's okay. I'll recoup from this. But you know what? No. The first lesson is literally go with the flow, because the more you try to, like, I'm like clenching my fist right now. You can't see this, but the more you hold on with a tight fucking grip, it's not going to work out for you. It just isn't. So when I mean go with the flow, I mean surrender to how the destination, how the journey is going to unfold. Yes, I did have a final destination of like, okay, I would have wished I got here sooner. Originally I was supposed to only get there in 5 hours, not 12, but I fucking made it, and it's going to be a story. So go with the flow as much as you can. And, I always like to think of it on the bright side that maybe my higher power is protecting me. Maybe I wasn't supposed to arrive earlier. You don't really know. So in the moments that you lose your cool or you get really stressed out, and trust me, I was pretty stressed that day, I had to go to my coping skills of deep breaths and distraction. So in the moments where I was just waiting in the train station for hours, like when shit was delayed, like I ended up working on my laptop, and I did different things, and I journaled, and I used those outlets that were really, it was really helpful for my brain to be distracted. And I was also repeating mantras in my head, some affirmations that are like, everything is working out for me, even though I can't see it. Another one that I repeat often is, I do not chase, I attract. Just reminding myself that there is a bigger picture here. Even though I'm frustrated, I will make it. And that really helped. So make sure as you're letting things go in the surrender, and I know it's easier said than done, but it's so important to just remember that you can't always see what's in store for you, and you will not always know the how. You can plan and plan and plan and plan. And that's also what I tried to do. I tried to like book ahead and buy my tickets in advance while I was in the delay. Like I tried all this shit, but I just had to like get a refund, and it didn't work out. So you can plan all you want, but you never know how shit's gonna unfold. So please make sure to remember those coping skills, whether that's breathing or distractions, journaling, whatever you need to do. Remember those coping skills now before the stress happens, because sometimes when you're in stress, you can't even like what coping skills? I don't have any. So practice them now, so you have that toolkit ready to go. So I did finally arrive, and some of the really cool things that I really liked about this city, it was just such a charming place. And I've mentioned before, my Airbnb was so affordable. It was also just so gorgeous, and the people that I ran into were like really nice, just like people at restaurants and strangers and things like that. Like I just had a very lovely time. People like kept to themselves. Like I felt very safe walking around. I was in walking distance from Old Town, so I was literally just like a 10-minute walk, and Old Town was so beautiful. And I got really lucky with the weather, even though it's November. Like I've had really beautiful sunny days, beautiful sunsets. Daylight savings did happen, so it does get dark at 4 p.m., which is really trippy. But yeah, I love like the horse carriages, and they haven't released Christmas stuff yet, but we're almost there, people. I'm getting really excited for Christmas coming up in Europe. But yeah, and oh my gosh, the food has been incredible. I have been eating pierogies every fucking day. And the Polish pierogi, not Russian, but the Polish pierogi, the famous one is called, I think it's called a ruski. And that is like potatoes and cheese. It's like a dumpling, and it just melts in your mouth. But I've been going to all of these local Polish restaurants, and that's just been so, I just get so happy eating local foods and just like a tiny mom and pop shop. Like I remember specifically like one lunch that I had, and like I'm not even on my phone. I'm just like looking around the decoration of the restaurant. I'm like looking at the other customers. Like I'm just sitting and vibing and drinking my local craft beer and having my pierogies and taking my sweet fucking time. And it's in those moments where it's just like I close my eyes and I'm like, holy shit, like I'm in Poland right now. This is fucking rad. And so another lesson for you is, when can you sit and actually say to yourself, close your eyes, put your hand to your heart and say, holy shit, I'm blank right now. That could be, I'm feeling this expression right now, or I'm in this location right now, or I am so fucking grateful for blank right now. It's just catch yourself in these moments. I even do that when I'm in bed sometimes, of like, I'm so grateful that this pillow is so soft, that I'm so warm and comfy and I don't have to get up for another hour. Like, it's tiny, tiny moments that you just absolutely recognize the gratitude right now in this existence. Like, I am so grateful I have 5 minutes to spare before this meeting I have to go to, and just sit in it and take ownership of these beautiful moments. So that's my other lesson too that I've learned here, as it's so just peaceful, is really soaking in, like, oh my God, like I'm in Poland. I was not expecting to be in this country, and I'm really in love with it. Like, it's so, like I said, it's so charming. It's affordable. I don't feel stressed out. I think sometimes in other countries it was like, fuck, am I gonna make it? I don't like being stingy or limited, but no, this has been really lovely. And the last thing I want to kind of wrap up of the things that I've done while staying here for a week, and I'm going to head out to another city in Poland. So stay tuned to that episode next week. But this is where it gets a little heavy, folks. And I'm not going to get into it too much because it's very heavy to process. But I did book a tour at the Auschwitz Holocaust concentration camp. And that was about a 5-hour tour of walking the campgrounds and, having a tour guide that spoke English and broke down the whole camp, the history, the statistics. We went into the barracks. We went into the different bunks. We saw pictures, watched documentaries, even on the way there. It was a whole fucking thing. And I'm still processing it. But all I can say is just how I'm fucking speechless. Like, it was such an it took a fucking toll on my body. I felt physically fucking ill for how these people were tortured. And I'm speechless. Like, there's nothing that I could say that's gonna change history. It fucking happened. And what's nice is that the people that did make it, the survivors, wanted to keep this camp alive as a memorial, to show tourists, to show people, to fucking remember what happened, so this doesn't fucking happen again. But where we are in history right now, if you're listening to this episode in November 2023, what's going on in the current news right now with the Jewish community is fucked up, and it's fucking happening again. And it was just so important for me while I'm in Poland and I was so close to this concentration and death camp that I had to pay my respects. Period. And be so fucking grateful for the life that I live. And to all of my Jewish friends, loved ones, and my community members, like, I'm fucking with you. I am a fucking ally. And I mean, even me being there for 5 hours, I couldn't even fucking deal. Like, it was just so emotional. Like, I can't even fathom what it was like back then. So it was heavy, but I'm glad I did it and paid my respects. And I do encourage you to go as well if you are in that area. To end on a little happier note, after that tour, I did go to another tour, which was the salt mines. And that was really cleansing, energy-wise, really cool. I had to walk 800 steps down, underground. It was so many thousand meters deep below. It's like a grotto. And it's a really cool salt mine. And I had no idea salt was a currency. And that's also kind of the symbols for the Polish currency as well, is salt. And so it was a big ass deal back then. But this salt mine is so cool. It's been around since the 1400s or something. It's just so cool. Make sure to check out the show notes. I'll say explicitly where it is and some cool facts about it. But that's kind of how I ended my day, was doing that salt tour. So by the end of the day, I was super fucking tired. And throughout the rest of my stay, it's just been really nice, and trying again more local food. And I did have, I went to a vodka bar, and I did a bunch of different test tastings, and that was really fun. And I ended up meeting an American. She sat next to me, and we had a conversation. So it was also really nice, meeting people. Sometimes I'm really, not social at all. But when you're solo traveling, it is important to, open up a little bit. And trust me, I can be extremely social. I mean, for God's sakes, I'm a life coach. Like, I know how to talk to people. That's not an issue. But it is about putting yourself out there sometimes. So the last lesson too is, along with being grateful, but put yourself out there a little bit. And you never know the conversations you're going to have and the people you're going to meet. All right, that about wraps it up. I don't want this episode to be too long. That's definitely like a goal personally of mine, is to not talk your ear off. But we're going to wrap this up. Remember those lessons of being really fucking grateful and just sitting with that shit and remembering those coping skills. So like, even in that tour that was really emotional, I had to do some deep breaths. I had to really take care of myself. You know, that was a lot to process, a lot to think about. And so just make sure you are thinking about and prioritizing your mental health above anything else. That is so fucking important, is taking care of your physical and mental health. Make sure you are going to bed and you are seeing a doctor. You are getting your needs met. All right. I will catch you in the next episode. Take care. If you're enjoying these episodes and walking away feeling more motivated and inspired, then you would be a great fit for my coaching community. Every Wednesday, I create a newsletter that's designed just for badasses like you to overcome any hurdles that are getting in the way from creating the life you want to live. Each week, you'll receive my favorite strategies and best tips for strengthening your lifestyle habits, overcoming limiting beliefs, and learn how to set measurable goals toward a life that supports your values. If this sounds like a good fit that you want to subscribe to, click the link in the show notes to opt in, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media or head over to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Subscribing and posting a review helps to improve engagement and is essential for the podcast to be discovered by new listeners. Thanks again for listening, and remember, every day provides a lesson. Take care.